Asur Tanekolo, Before Rafav Mishpat, Elamuna Vina Vatsadik Vayasharu, Atur Tamim Befoko, Almayom Alahi Fikro, Ashalik Matwama, Almemikum Fayem Richoniah. Or a person to live 1,000 years or be blessed with many fewer. Time is never enough when it's somebody that we love. But we turn to you, God, as the family has, as they cut the ribbon that they wear. And they say, Diana Met, that you are the judge of truth, who has taken Jay's life, but who's also the sweet gifter of his life. We know that your judgments at times in our lives puzzle us, but we place our trust in your righteousness. We accept our loss, and we hold on to the love that remains within us forever. Have mercy upon this family, O God, as they mourn today, and strengthen them at this time of sorrow. Tradition says that the dust now must return to the earth, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. And we pray that Jay's soul be bound up in the bonds of life eternal. In the pamphlet that some of us have received here today, we have the recitation of the 23rd Psalm. I'd like to sing in Hebrew and then invite you to read in English with me. Adonai rohi lo achsar benateh sheyar b'tzeni al mei menuchot inhaleini nafshi yeshaveh v'yancheini l'maglet tzedek levan shemo anki elech v'yetz ha'mavet lo v'yirara ki atah imadi Shivtecha v'shantecha hino yenachemuni Baruch levanai shulchan neged shorerai Vishanto Hashem en roshi kosi revaya Achtov v'chesed yedefuni kol yemei chayai Yeshaveti b'beit Adonai leyorech Please. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restored my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. This is a poem, or a psalm, rather, that we read frequently. I would ask the directors, they probably hear it at every service. And yet, I think sometimes there is a missed sentence that we should focus on. And that is, it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, which basically means life is going to happen. There's a euphemistic way of saying that, but life happens. And it's not always good. And there are shadows, and there are dark days, and there are sadnesses, and tears, and pain. That's what's the description of the shadow of death, right? In the valley of the shadow. But the psalmist says, I will walk through that valley. I won't get lost there. I won't be held hostage there. I won't be controlled by that sad shadow. I won't be paralyzed by the pain of it. I will get through the shadow and into a valley of sunshine and health. And how do you do that? 1, time. 2, love. 3, faith. And maybe faith is number 4. I don't know. You know, when it's somebody like Jay that dies much too soon, your faith gets rocked a little bit. But even though that valley of the shadow may last a little bit longer because it's more difficult than laying to rest parents and an older generation. I pray for your strength and your perseverance and focusing on what we're going to hear today, which are beautiful comments of tribute and of love. So let me offer just a few thoughts at the beginning, and then I'll offer a few thoughts at the end, and you'll offer a lot more in between. I'm not going to try to explain God's will and why something like Jay's untimely passing makes any sense, because it doesn't. Tradition in moments such as this say, "Hakol talui b'mazal afilu sefer Torah shebehalkal." That translates to basically that all is dependent on mazel, on good luck, even the life of a Torah scroll. How is that explained? When a Torah scroll is being written by a sofer, by a specialist who can do so, there's no way to know what will befall that Torah scroll. Will it be a Torah that is used and regularly paraded around a synagogue with people waiting to touch it and kiss it and honor it? Or will it be one of those Torah scrolls that is relegated to the back of the ark, never really taken out for its turn to be used in the community, rarely if ever read, and simply just sitting in the back as some manner of religious ornament? Mazel. Just good luck. Depends. And the same holds true when a person is born. What will that person grow to be? Someone renowned? Someone who develops medical marvels? Someone who teaches at university or becomes the next Supreme Court justice? Or someone who isn't blessed with great health or with the aptitude to do such things? Maybe they don't get the opportunity to find their fullest fulfillment of life. Maybe it's someone who lives a life somewhere in the middle of those two extremes. Mazel. We just don't know. So I'd like to read a poem that gives us perspective today about Jay's life. Not how did he die, but how did he live? Not what did he gain, but what did he give? Not what was his station, but had he a heart, and how did he play out his God-given part? Not what was his shrine or what was his creed, but rather had he befriended those really in need. Not what did the piece in the newspaper say, but how many were sorry when he passed away. Was he ever ready with a word or good cheer to bring back a smile to banish your tear? These are the units to measure the worth of a man as a man, regardless of birth. Jay measured up to the only person to which he needed to measure up, himself. His life was unique to him. His life story and his trademark self will be defined and more elaborated, obviously, by you, his family. And there is no question that no matter his station in life, Jay made a difference to you who will always remain close to your hearts, to the hearts of his sibling and families, Ellen and Edwin, Sheila and Charles, Sandra and Corey, Rachel and Edward, Eileen and Stephen, nephews Jonathan, Michael, Shane, and Jared, and nieces Jennifer, Amy, Ariel, and his circle of friends. Of course, he made a difference to all of you. And now we'll hear the words from his sister Ellen, read by his sister Rachel, and then his nephew Jared, brother-in-law Ed, and then Rachel has some thoughts of her own.
Thank you for who are listening in on this and being here. This is my sister Ellen. She's Jay's eldest sister. Couldn't be here today, but this is her gift that I made. I remember the day Jay was born. It was following a difficult pregnancy throughout our mother drank, which our mother drank, cream straight from a glass bottle. My lifelong friend Phyllis does too, because I was so excited that I called her to tell her of Jay's arrival at some terribly early morning hour. I recall that Daddy was so excited to have a boy child after 4 girls. Dad discussed the naming of our new baby brother and spoke of how Jay's name would look printed on a door or a business card, already planning for his future. When Jay came home from the hospital, his beautiful big brown eyes, fringed with long silky lashes anyone would kill for, mesmerized us. And his sweet, gentle smile, a face shone with comfort and peace. He looked just like Dondi, an adorable little cartoon character in the Sun-Times newspaper. That July, I recall walking up and down Crawford Avenue while taking Jay outside for walks in his baby carriage. Later that summer, I remember taking all the kids, Sheila, Sandy, and Ray Ray, along with me to the Greenleaf Park to play away the day while I kept a watchful eye on all. I would pack fresh cold fruits and bags of ice to eat at the park. He was such a sweet and quiet baby who never made a fuss and rarely cried. Also later in infancy, Jay and Sheila contracted salmonella, and Jay was gravely ill. As Jay grew into his toddler years, it became evident that he had some learning problems, beginning with using language to communicate his needs versus having frustrated temper tantrums. Later in life, he learned that Jay had an unrepaired cleft palate. When he became kindergarten age and the family was in crisis as school officials wanted to send Jay to an institution. My parents fought that determination, and our mom became room mother, teacher's assistant, and Cub Scout leader extraordinaire for Jay's new class. Jay remained in the special class at Cleveland School for all of his elementary school years. During those years, Jay loved his Cub Scout pack meetings when the house and yard filled with bikes and boys. Unfortunately, placement in the special class downstairs brought taunts that lasted throughout Jay's short but productive life. Jay also loved the Cubbies, playing baseball and watching sports or going to live games. Jay also had a passion for fishing and camping, seeing a good flick, or seeing live theater productions surrounded by family members or friends. Always having a strong work ethic, as all the Silvers have, Jay worked from an early age up to the evening he passed away. He never missed a family get-together or outing unless it was a work day. Jay was kind-hearted, caring, compassionate spirit with a heart of gold. Jay was a good man, who, like all good men, has his foibles, but who really wanted everyone to be kinder, more courteous, and considerate to one another. However, throughout his life, Jay never quit trying to do better and to become more independent. Not even through the death of both parents with whom he had resided all of his life, the upheaval of moving from Skokie and changing his workplace to Algonquin during his near death from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and the pain of GERD and Crohn's disease. He did not quit, but his heart finally did. I will always remember. That is my sister Ellen's eulogy. Thank you for all who listened. Now I'm going to be calling up my son Jared. He has a eulogy. This is Jared.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Jay Silver. I'm Jay's nephew, Jared. Jay was an amazing man. He showed compassion in everything he loved, from his family to the Chicago Cubs. Jay loved talking about sports. It was his passion and his pastime to sit back and watch the game whenever he had the time to. I remember back in my high school and early college days, he would stay with us for a week or two, and I'd always pass him in our living room, so focused in on the game. I myself know absolutely nothing about sports, and I'd always tell Jay that I was clueless, but it never stopped him from trying to engage in listing off the names of every professional athlete, their records, and their salary to me. I found it astonishing that he was able to retain all this information. It made me realize how smart and focused he was on an interest. We did, however, share a love in professional wrestling. Whenever I'd see Jay, we would talk about the current wrestlers, and I would show him a few videos I snapped of the live events I'd seen that year. I loved seeing the smile go across his face and how excited he was to talk about pro wrestling and the experiences I shared with him. Every time we would end our discussions, he'd always talk as if everything portrayed on those shows is real, and I'd always remind him that those shows were all staged. He'd always formulate this small smirk and just say, I know. From his wide knowledge of everything revolving around these topics, I knew he could spend hours at end going on for his love of sports. I always loved that was our go-to discussion at any family gathering. I always admired Jay's determination. He pushed through the struggles he had going on in his life. He survived stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma through taking care of himself and never losing faith in beating it. It motivates me to have the same drive that he did, to never give up and never break down. I love Jay very much and I will miss him tremendously. His life touched everyone in my family, and his smile and laugh would light up my parents' living room whenever he was busy. I will continue to live in the way that he did, to push through life's punches and always stay true to myself. I'm grateful for the time I was able to spend with him as a child and up until my adult years. Rest in peace, Uncle Jay. Say hello to Rose and Marvin up there for me. And now I'll be calling up my father.
Okay, can I hear? Okay, I can hear. Can you hear? Okay. I like to start out with an old phrase, let's play two. That was Ernie Banks of the Chicago Cubs, and that would make Jay's day because he got to watch 2 Cub games in one day. One thing every person who knew Jay, without a doubt, he was the Mr. Cub fan. When I come home from work, Jay was over watching a Cubs game. I asked the score. Jay would give me a play-by-play of every detail in the game. I would truly miss that commentary he gave me. Another wonderful thing about Jay is during the course of Rachel and I raising our 2 wonderful sons, Shane and Jared, we would often ask Jay if he could come out to help watch Jared and Shane when they were younger, or just dog sit at the house. He would never hesitate to come over and be with the guys. He was truly our Uncle Buck. Our sons became better because of Uncle Jay being around them. Jay, without a doubt, loved being around them, and no doubt we loved being around him. I can tell you what a wonderful brother he was by an example of helping Rachel with her ankle surgery. I had to go out to an emergency trip to New York shortly after Rachel's surgery, and I had to call Jay and ask him if he could help his sister out and stay with his sister. He said yes before I can get the entire question out. Not even sure if he even hung up the phone. He was on his way to the house. I also knew what a fighter he was, beating back the battle with cancer, recovering, showing his strength, coming back stronger to scream louder at the Cubs when they had lost. And then he'd cheer louder when they won, especially in 2016, Jay. Never forget that one. Rachel and I were certainly looking forward to Jay moving in with us, but I think God needed play-by-play from Jay so God could enjoy the Cubs as well. Because Jay made watching a Cubs game more exciting. With all the battles he fought and won, He was definitely my hero. In baseball terms, he was our MVP. You're next, Rachel.
Hope y'all can hear me. This is a little disjointed. I have so much to say about my brother. He had such a great life. I want to hope that he had a great life. Anyway, I'm Rachel Sulger. I stand fourth out of the six of Jay. This is the fifth out of the six, and we were 2 years apart. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to pay their respect to our JJ. Every one of his siblings had a story about Jay and how he impacted their lives as we grew up together. There is so much to say about my beloved brother. So here I am, being my brother's speaker for the dead, like Orson Scott Card. I remember as a very small girl seeing my baby brother. He was such a beautiful baby with big brown eyes and such long eyelashes, and truly like that comic strip zombie. I have fond memories of chasing each other up and down the stairs of our home in Skokie, running circles around the kitchen, in the living room, and forward and back, always having our mom tell us, the house is not a gym, and go outside and play in the backyard or go to the park. And of course we did, with us all laughing all the way out. Going boopsie sometimes up and down the stairs, getting yelled about that on our butts, saying that we were going to ruin the carpet. Playing and rolling around that big, giant orange hassock in the basement, playing with our cars and our dolls, and of course the big cuddly Dudley in his house, and we crawled in and out of that too. Other great memories is raking leaves in the backyard and jumping in the piles that we had raked from the front and the back before we had to burn them. I still can smell the leaves burning in the alley and us watching at a safe distance. Playing make-believe from movies that we had watched, be it we were Army fellows or we were sword fighting, defending the castle with his friends and family members, me and Leanie, and of course we were the princesses. Life to me was ideal, like anything else in the family. And life was normal, it went on, as small children. We made friends around the neighborhood, the Keystone kids. It came time for us to learn to go to school. Us waiting at the bus, singing, the bus, the B-U-S at the corner. It's strange, I never thought my brother was different than anyone else, other than my parents saying, watch your brother or keep an eye on JJ. That's when Jay went to special education classes because he was tested as developmentally delayed. It was also about the time where some kids from the neighborhood started to treat Jay differently. Some kids from Keystone and Crawford treated my brother no different. They knew who he was. They knew how he was. The fun-loving kid. Anyway, some days Jay would come home unhappy because he was bullied for being himself. And I heard about it, and I'd come and kick the crap and beat the crap out of them that bullied him. I protected my brother, thinking, why would they want to hurt my brother? It hurt him to be treated differently, and it broke my heart even then. But then as I was labeled fully protecting my brother, for what I remember calling them meanies, Jay took the criticizing, but always tried that much harder to belong and be part of everything. He fought to learn and succeeded in school, and Jay did. He succeeded. Jay was to me like anyone else. He would go fishing, he would love fishing, and we went on trips with the family, or dad to Canada. My dad was very involved in Scouts, and he became my brother's Scoutmaster at Middleton School for many years, with Jay being in the pack. My mom was a Scout leader, so the house was filled with many boys for meetings to earn their badges. We would go to the city with the family to the beaches, sometimes with our aunts and our cousins. Whenever it was nice, and we'd play in the water and sand and go to the beach. And I'm pretty sure that that's how we learned to swim, because my dad picked us up and threw us in the water and said, "Swim!" So that's how we learned how to swim. We'd go to the playground, and at the beach, and afterwards we would go to either Fluky's or McDonald's afterwards. We would go to Lincoln Park Zoo many times during our childhood, and even went to go see Bozo Circus. We would go to the outdoor theater on McCormick Boulevard and run and play in the playground and eat popcorn out the back of that car. Family was so very important to the Silver home. I have memories of us skating and sliding in the backyard that my mom would throw water on to freeze over the concrete patio when the season was right. And if not, we couldn't skate in the backyard. Jay and I would walk with Eileen to the Jewel and get Pop-Tarts on our way to walk to Devonshire Park to go skate on their water that they dropped down and put in their area over at Devonshire Park for people to skate. I have memories when it was nice out of us walking to Devonshire Park to go to the pool and hang out there all day long. Remembering to always remember that darn token. We used to have picnics in our backyard underneath that big old tree, and we'd play on the swing set when we couldn't. Jay had friends, and we'd hang out at their homes and hang out at the Kent's Party Shop, where we would get penny candy and always look for coins. Fond moments of going to Kittyland and riding on the choo-choo train together, because Jay was not a lover of fast rides. Jay would play the games for prizes and toys and bring home stuffed animals. I remember how proud Jay was when he had worked with Dad to make his Pinewood Derby cars, and they both together built a special shelf to display his cars. Jay has always been curious and wanted to see how things work. The only bummer was that he would take things apart and wouldn't be able to put them back together again, and that was that. Thing was, Jay always tried to go out and do things, even though he would say, "Nope, not me," and then he would laugh. For those that had the pleasure of knowing my brother, when he would smile, his eyes would sparkle and light up, and he had the most amazing, beautiful smile. And then Jay liked to kibitz, joke around, and be silly. What's not to love about a kind, fun-loving guy with the world at his feet? Time passed as we grew up. We went on trips with our parents and our siblings, family get-togethers with aunts and uncles and cousins. When we got older, I waitressed and Jay worked at Burger King. Jay even went to school with some of his co-workers at Burger King. So Jay felt welcome and included, which was wonderful. Jay was used to being around our family, but Elkie moved out. Sheila, Sandy, and I out of the house before Jay graduated, and him and Leanie and my parents living at home. So not much a crowd at home anymore. Times changed. Jay was in high school, then at Niles East, and then Niles East closed, and Jay had to transition to Niles North High School, which was difficult for Jay. New kids who didn't know him for who he was, having to prove himself again and to try and be accepted. Jay succeeded as he tried so hard to be one of the gang, and he had a special set of friends for which I will be eternally grateful as I was now out and trying to find myself. I ended up moving back home for a while, and Jay and I reconnected. And we would watch TV and sports, or go to the Hub, or Poochie's, and we would go for walks. And as I didn't own a car. Then I moved out, and we were distanced for a while. But we saw each other at get-togethers or talk on the phone. Jay went on to Oakton Community College, and he took computer courses and culinary courses with a major emphasis on business accounting. What amazed me is how very smart my brother Jay really was. Here's an example. Our son Shane came home from second grade. Shane was in a pilot program. He came home with homework. It was algebra in second grade. I couldn't help my second grader. I didn't know any of that stuff. My husband Ed couldn't either. We tried. Jay came over and we showed him Shane's homework, and Jay sat down and helped Shane do his homework. Jay knew algebra. Jay was amazing in math. He was super smart with numbers. Anyway, if you could see this, I actually took out some work. All his homework. And I can't even do this work. And he did. It was like algebra and trigonometry. And he was amazing. He was so smart. Anyway, I'm getting back on track. He didn't graduate, however. He used what he learned, and he applied that knowledge in his career in the food industry and his other jobs throughout his life. He was proficient. He was proficient in merchandising, supply ordering. He ran frozen departments and dairy departments in Dominick's and Treasure Island and Walgreens and Caputo's and Sun and Walmart. He did warehouse production for medical supplies. Jay was a security guard for 3 different places. Jay's last job ending at Chipotle. Working has always been so important to Jay. And I think more importantly, it meant so much more to Jay because people were important to Jay. He wanted to talk and be friends and have friends he could talk to and spend time and be with. When out of work, it was hard. He didn't really have that. Because it was so important for Jay to build friendships all his life. Jay over the years would come over to our home in Streetwood and later Hoffman Estate and spend time with the boys, Shane and Jared. And then, as luck has it, we moved to Skokie. It was actually a blessing that I moved back to Skokie. That just meant I got to spend more time with him. Anyway, time passed. I'm going back to when he was living home alone with my parents because his baby sister Eileen had gotten married. Jay was living at home with mom and dad for years, working, going on trips. My mom fell ill and passed. And Jay and my dad lived together, and then Dad's health was failing. We ended up moving to Skokie, which was a great location. It was a blessing. Then I helped my brother to move out of the house to an apartment for months, and then helped Jay move back home with Dad. Jay continued to work all along, and Dad went away for a trip to Florida to mourn the loss of his own sister and fell ill and hospitalized and flown home, and then Dad passed away. I think that's when things started to be super sad with Jay. We moved him from Skokie to Crystal Lake to a condo, and Jay had to learn his way around and find employment. It took time, but Jay did find a job. He was so determined. But I just don't feel it was the same for him. He would come out, but he was also sad from the uprooting and losing both my parents within 5 years. Then Jay fell ill, misdiagnosed at first of having allergies because he was having a hard time breathing. He had to sleep sitting up. Finally, he went in and he got the chest x-ray to find he had to go to the hospital right away and find out that he had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and lost weeks of memory. We were all there for him. We all took turns, his siblings, going to the hospital, make sure he was not alone and he was cared for. Down to where my husband even took him out to help wash him and shower him and make sure he was up and doing things, and other family members doing so. He was so sick, we really did almost lose him. Our sister Sandy took Jay and moved him into her home and lived with him in a hospital bed on the main floor for 4 months while Jay fought the cancer and went for treatments, and had therapists come in to help Jay learn how to breathe again and exercise. And we were removing side effects to clear his lungs, and we were taking turns. We were very thankful that we have a sister, Sandra, who her profession was a nurse. It took time, and Jay was weak for a very long time. Jay recovered because he had a heart of gold. He was so strong. He was so strong-willed. But he had to deal with doctors for the rest of his life to make sure it didn't come back. Jay started to bounce back, went back to the condo, and it took time for him to heal. And Jay did, again, find employment. Jay was so happy to be working and out and about versus sick and stuck, being alone. Getting together started again, and to see each other and spend time together. Sports and now medicines and doctor visits were high on Jay's list. We took Jay to a club game, because you know what? It was a long overdue time to do that. We went on a vacation to Florida and took Jay. He had such a great time at Universal Studios. We were both grooving and moving to the songs of the Blues Brothers. Jay even went on a few rides, and he didn't like to go on rides. But he did it for me, and he had lots of fun and loved to meet a real bona fide astronaut when we took him to Cape Canaveral. We got together over the years. We went to theaters, family get-togethers, movies, out-of-state weddings. We went fishing. We took walks on Broadway and drove to the beach and took long walks and talked. To me, Jay had my back and I had his. He came and stayed at our house and lived twice for periods of time because he came there for me while he helped me with getting over 2 separate ankle surgeries, and helped prepare meals and walk our dog Marty and be there for their boys and be there for anything that was needed. Jay loved me unconditionally, always. Jay was a kind and funny brother. Whether he let me know when he was in trouble or not, I was there to help him figure it out. I love and appreciated every moment I had with my brother. And if we had any words, Jay would say, "Take a chill pill," or "It's all right and everything's gonna be okay." He never once complained to me what he had to endure or the pain fighting for his life. He never complained. I love you, Jay, with all my heart. You're my hero. My brother, JJ. All his life, Jay always felt he had to prove himself to everyone, when all Jay ever wanted was to be accepted for and loved for who he was and not for what others wanted him to be. You never had to prove yourself to me, Jay. You never had to prove yourself to me, to your nephews Shane and Jared, or your brother-in-law Ed. We had unconditional love for each other. I only wish we could have had more time with us, with your opening the new door and chapter to your life as you are about to move in to Skokie and live with us, your forever home. So, my little brother, I will always remember you and I chasing each other around rooms, in the house, at the park, at the beach. I always loved you, even when you were naughty and mischievous. Unconditional love rules. I love you, JJ. Say hi to Mom and Dad and give them one big beer hug that you always would give us, and send them our love. Thank you all for listening to me. And now I will return the microphone to the other.
Though not a religious guy, because I'm told Jay would say, it was not my thing. Jay Silver fulfilled the commandments of God better than most. How so? The preeminent mitzvah in the Torah with regard to humanity is to love the stranger. It notes this commandment 36 times in the Bible. Jay was a good guy. And isn't that what we would all like to have said about ourselves when our lives come to a close? Yes, it's ended much too soon. But he will always have a part of his neshama within you, as illustrated by this poem, with which we will end, as the gentlemen here begin to lower his casket into his eternal rest. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that you can feel blow. I am the diamond glints you see upon the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in supple flight. Or I can be the soft star that shines at night. So do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. My soul has not died. I hope though you are crying at this moment, that you will some moment in the near future begin to smile as you imagine Jay watching down upon you from the skybox, if you will. Probably one of the better seats you had. I hope you always find a little bit of Jay inside of you, and to know that that is your blessing. I'm going to recite a memorial prayer as the gentlemen continue with this sacred work that they're doing for us. If you're comfortable to stand, I invite you to do so. And then I will continue with the prayer called the Righteous Judge. And it's a prayer that mirrors the blessing that you said as you cut the ribbon, that some of you are wearing and some of you will receive. And then when they're done, we'll recite Kaddish. El mole rachamim shochen ban romim hametzein menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina ve'alot kedoshim utovim kezohar v'kiyamazim את נשמת אברהם יעקב בן מתתיהו הלוי ומן הרזל שהלך מיונמו בגן עדן תהי מנוחתו ענד על הרחמים אז תראהו בסתר כנפיך ליונמים ותרו בצורך חיים את נשמתו, אדוני ומחלתו, וינוח בשלום ובשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. צדיק וחברך בצורתה ממלך הפעם מלא רחמים חממה וחוסנה לאבות ובנים כי לכבודנו שליחות והרחמים Daminda Shamai, Adoption, Mariko, Chloe, Aburu, Diana, Matmai, Komatoya. Yadal, Odanai, Kitsaran, Mishpatecha, Sitska, Vidovra, Vikiska, Bishoptecha, the Elahaher, Archamidat Shoptecha, Sadikata Donai, Viashar Mishpatecha. Kidoletsa, Bravanalia, Shanakabukuko, Kodar, Family Adam. Tateli ishkidra chadashat minah lavla gitya Adonai. Surina lovle tabo. Adonai Natan. Adonai Ushem Adonai Nivorah. Urafu yataperamon velo yashim. Bala Shiva Po Velo Yair Pohamapo. For the love that death cannot sever, for the warmth that they shared along life's path, for those gifts of heart and mind which have now become a precious heritage to this family, for all of these things and so many more, they stand here today, God, before you, grateful, though their hearts are broken. You declare, O God, that you are the healer of broken hearts, that you shall wipe away the tears from the faces of those bereaved. We ask you, God, to be that foundation, be that rock upon which this family can lean at this time, as they attempt to step forward in life, always inspired by the brightness of Jay's spirit, and they shall honor him by the way that they live. We honor God at this moment with the words of Kaddish, thanking God for the sweetness of the opportunity of life, and knowing that God shall embrace Jay's spirit for all eternity. Yitkadah v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'alma divera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmo rabbah mevarach la'alam u'la'almei almaya yiparach v'yishrabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu La'ela minko birkata b'shirata tushtechata v'nechemata v'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'numay u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'imru amen. Dear God, bless this family with love and with peace, that they may serve you with all of their hearts. May the next time they have reason to gather only be a time of sweetness in their lives. Amen.
Our services here will continue with the middle service. Due to health concerns, there are small cups available for everyone to take some measures of earth and place them in the grave, and then please discard your cup in the wire basket. Upon conclusion of your participation, the gentleman from the cemetery will complete the burial. Thank you. Family, please come forward.
another relative with their sibling or spouse with sorrow, but